Welcome to Heroes for Hope, the Morton Center's annual fundraising event. I'm Angie Fenton. I'm here at the Olmsted. We have folks who are joining us for, again, this annual event, both in person and virtually, being streamed on the Morton Center's YouTube page, Facebook page, and then our Extol audience as well. We're so happy to have you. Want to give you a quick little rundown of what's going to happen today. We're going to talk with a few people for the next 20 minutes or so as folks are now starting to come in. And things are going to get underway right at 11:30 with the actual program, which we will go to after this. Wanted to just run through also some of the speakers. We are going to have the invocation with Father John Eifler, an annual lunch and welcome with Katrina Green, who is the chair of the board. Lunch opening remarks from the one and only Jim Murphy, who's the prior board chair. And then we will have the Stephen C. Galt Stewardship Award honoring Kenneth Reitlinger Jr. today, an alumni introduction with Myra Woodward-Shoby, who's a therapist, and then we're going to show a few Morton Center alumni videos and closing remarks with the CEO, Priscilla McIntosh, who we're going to get on camera coming up in just a minute. We'll share some of the sponsors and also what people can expect from today's event. Again, it's the Morton Center's annual fundraising event, so it's really important to them, but even better than that, they've got a fantastic surprise. A donor who wants to remain anonymous is matching dollar for dollar, literally every donation that comes in today. So you have today to donate, whether that's online or if you're coming to the event, dollar for dollar, what you donate will be matched. You can visit themortoncenter.org for more information and for easy online donations. And again, coming up, we'll talk with the Morton Center CEO, Priscilla McIntosh, coming soon. Once again, we're here at Heroes for Hope, the Morton Center's annual fundraising event, live at the Olmsted, and also hello to all of you who are joining us virtually on the various channels. This is the Morton Center CEO, Priscilla McIntosh. Now, Priscilla, I gave a rundown already of what people can expect. We're going to go live to the program as soon as it started. But for those who aren't familiar with the Morton Center, what is your overall mission?
Well, our mission is being able to help and break the cycle of addiction. It takes 3 generations to break the cycle of addiction, and so being able to provide support to the individual with outpatient treatment along with the families, all inclusive.
We have gotten to know you and the organization over the past year, and something that I think every person who is watching, every person who is coming in these doors here at the Olmsted knows is that addiction is on the rise and that we need organizations like the Morton Center now more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, especially everybody is of course, coming out of living, working at home, but also we're seeing a huge uptake in the kids, adolescents. They are not sure as far as dealing with their emotions, and so a lot of children are starting to experiment even at earlier ages, and parents are looking for resources, and that is a place where the Morton Center can help as well. But the need is definitely there. I don't even think we've seen the tip of the iceberg when it comes to some of the services, and our services being outpatient, allowing for individuals to still be with their families and get the counseling that they need, but also just being that source of, as they're going back to work and as they're being able to go back to their daily lives, when they have a rough day, they have a place like the Morton Center to come to.
It's beautiful here at the Olmsted, and one of the signature things that you're going to see in a variety of ways, there are paintings, but then there are also little tiny chairs. Explain the role and the symbolism of the chair for the Morton Center.
Well, so we don't have a wait list at the Morton Center. Like most residential facilities where you have a bed, we offer chairs. So the only thing that limits us from being able to help someone as they're walking through the doors is being able to have the funds for the scholarship programs. And that's what the chairs allow us to do. It allows for us to say, you walked in, come on, we're here to help you and start your path to recovery.
You have some exciting news that I already shared just a moment ago. Those who are just now jumping on, though, you want to make sure that we're really hammering this home and that there's something significant. It's not just the annual fundraiser for the Morton Center, but there's a reason to donate today.
Absolutely. So today we have a donor who is going to match dollar for dollar. So your $50 will turn into $100, your $100 will turn into $200, allowing for us to be able to help even more individuals in the community by providing those chairs. So your gift is online or it is also in person, then it will be matched dollar for dollar today, no limit. So that's very unusual. Usually we have kind of a match limit. There's no match limit on this.
Okay, that's phenomenal. Whoever that donor is out there, and I know at least I know he wants to remain anonymous. Thank you so much for that. For folks who aren't going to be able to join us in person, though, they're going to get that experience as close to possible.
Absolutely. You're going to hear stories from some of the clients that we've been able to help, but also hear and talk with some of the therapists that do the work, because we couldn't be here without our therapists being able to provide that work each and every day. And it's a difficult job. So being able to celebrate and say thank you to them as well as our donors and the board members that'll be here today.
Okay, well, I know the clock is ticking on the time for the program to start. Priscilla has a bunch of people, which is wonderful to see people in person this year who are coming in. Visit themortoncenter.org for more information about the Morton Center in general. But again, make that donation today. You've got up until tonight, but why delay? Go ahead and do it today. It's going to be matched dollar for dollar. I'm Angie Fenton here at Heroes for Hope for the Morton Center. We'll have more coming up in just a minute. We're coming to you live at Heroes for Hope, the annual fundraising event for the Morton Center. I'm Angie Fenton. Now, the program will be starting shortly here live at the Olmsted. We also know many of you are joining us virtually. Just want to throw that reminder out again. We've got a donor who is matching dollar for dollar every donation. There's no limit. Just visit themortoncenter.org. But before we do that, I wanted to talk with therapist Myra Woodward-Shobe. Myra, what is most meaningful about working with the Morton Center for you?
Working with the Morton Center, it's like my second family, really. And we all know that everything trickles from the top, from the board members down to the CEO, Priscilla, the directors, and just the whole team that we work together. It's the best. I've been working in this field for like 25 years, and this is the best team that I've ever worked with.
Obviously, with it being an annual fundraising event, that's what this is about. Priscilla already said you don't have a wait list, you have a chair for everybody, but we need those donations in order to continue operating that way. What's one thing that you would say to compel people who maybe don't know about the Morton Center or maybe know a little bit about it to give today, to make that donation?
One of the things that I always say, that if we could just take the time and change one individual, that we can reunite and change families. And if we could change families, we could change neighborhoods and communities. And if we could change communities, we could change the world. Absolutely. So if we could just start with one and change one individual, we can change the world.
Now, you'll get an opportunity to see Myra once the program starts. She is one of the few speakers that is up there. That program, again, is going to start just shortly, around 11:30, a little bit afterwards. Again, we have a donor who is matching dollar for dollar all donations throughout today. Don't delay. Go to themortoncenter.org to make that donation. Coming up, we'll just have a couple more people before the program gets underway here at the Olmsted for the Morton Center. Welcome to Heroes for Hope, the annual fundraising luncheon for the Morton Center. I'm Angie Fenton here live at the Olmsted. Now we've got many of you who are watching this virtually as well. Again, it's the annual fundraising event. The program is going to get underway just at about 11:30, maybe a couple minutes afterwards. We've already had the opportunity to speak with some people, including our CEO, Priscilla McIntosh. And we're going to just go through just for a moment, just so you kind of know the rundown, because we're going to turn to the program once it begins. We'll start with the invocation, followed by a luncheon welcome by Katrina Green, who is the chair of the board, and then the luncheon's opening remarks from Jim Murphy, who is the prior board chair. We have an award. It's the Stephen C. Galt Stewardship Award. And then we'll have the alumni introduction, Morton Center alumni videos, just a few quick ones to learn a little bit more about the Morton Center and the mission, and then closing remarks from Priscilla McIntosh, who is the CEO. One of the things that's most exciting about today's fundraising is we have a donor, and a donor who is not only matching dollar for dollar, but there's no limit. So you can donate up until 11:59 p.m. tonight, and every single dollar is going to go towards supporting the Morton Center and their mission. Makes it very simple to do so. All you have to do is visit themortoncenter.org right now, make that donation, then sit back, enjoy your lunch that you're having if you're there virtually, and enjoy the program that, again, is going to start shortly after 11:30 a.m. Welcome to Heroes for Hope, the annual fundraiser for the Morton Center. I'm standing here with Todd Sharp. And Todd, I know the acronym is RAC, and you're one of the sponsors, but RAC stands for?
The Robert Alexander Center for Recovery. We're located in Mount Washington, Kentucky.
Why are you supporting what the Morton Center is doing here today?
Well, the Morton Center is a great community partner on so many levels. It's always been an issue, is mental health and addiction and the battles that people face. But in today's world, it's heightened even more, and they do incredible work helping people find help.
You are truly somebody who lives out loud, and you ensure that other people know recovery isn't just within reach, it's possible. I mean, this is your passion.
Angie, I'm amazed that I'm alive, and I feel I'm alive for a reason today, and it's to help others going through this battle. In my life, it seemed insurmountable, and it didn't seem possible. But I know today, not only is recovery possible, you can live your best life on the other side of it.
I love you, and I just have to be able to say that. I've known Todd for more than 2 decades and am fortunate to call him a friend, but also an inspiration to people all over the place. What is one thing that you want to make sure people take away from an event like this? Because we have folks who are here in person. We're so glad to be back to in person, but also those who are maybe not familiar with the Morton Center or RAC or other different partner agencies and are watching on a variety of channels virtually.
I think the general public needs to know we are all together. It doesn't matter the organization. My boss, he doesn't like to be called that, James Sweezy, calls it the sandbox. And we all play in the same sandbox. And it doesn't matter where you get help. We as community partners just want you to know the help is there, and we are all willing to jump in and lend a hand.
Absolutely. Now, again, this is the annual fundraising event for the Morton Center. We have an anonymous donor who is matching dollar for dollar through the end of today. So visit themortoncenter.org right now to make that donation. Again, that program, like I said earlier, is going to be starting just in a couple of minutes here, so we're excited to see that as well.
Can you hear me? Hello. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Did you all know this is a karaoke party? I was just kidding. It's really not a luncheon. Ready?
I think I've...
All right, Before you leave today, though, if you have the opportunity, we do have some wonderful artwork that was donated by our clients back in that area. You can also check it out online. Some of the clients that donated found out during the programming that they really liked art. So there's some beautiful pieces back there. And enjoy your lunch. We will have Father Eifler up here to say a prayer here shortly.
It's a little past 11:30, so we need to start our program. I'm Father Jerry Eifler of the Archdiocese of Louisville. Was on the board of the Morton Center years and years and years ago, and I've had the opportunity to be involved in a lot of recovery work in the city and the diocese. Today we come to celebrate what we do. Let us bow our heads now and prepare ourselves to speak to the Spirit of God. O Holy Spirit, renew within us your wisdom, that we may see things as they are and speak only words of truth. Renew within us your understanding, that we may be more sensible to those who we live with and we work with beside. Renew within us your gift of counsel for others and ourselves, that we may bring them and ourselves peace. Renew within us the thirst to know you, more than that of faith may be deepened and life may reflect you. Renew within us awe and wonder at the power of your presence within us, and guide us gently to use your gifts and talents for the good of ourselves and others. And we pray, bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts which we will receive in your name today and forever. Amen.
Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So, I am Katrina Green. I'm the current board chair, and I want to thank everyone for attending the luncheon today. It's great to see everybody's smiling faces and to have you with us today. Next, I'd like to thank our sponsors. Without them, this wouldn't be such a nice event. First off, Steve Galt, Brown Foreman, Norton Healthcare, Humana, Glenview Trust, Dr. B, and then RAC. So thank you. Next, I'd like to have all of the current and past board members stand so we can recognize you. Come on. Thank you for your all's support. And then lastly, I'd like to thank all the state and local representatives. So if you could stand so we can thank you as well. No? All right. Well, thanks again for coming to participate and hanging out with us. Next up, I'm going to hand it off to Jim.
Oh, Katrina. I need that. I have no idea what else I'm doing without this. Hey, my name is Jim Murphy, and I have the pleasure and the honor of being the chairman of the Board of Trustees for 3 years, from 2019 to actually earlier this year when Katrina took over. And you have never really seen me before because this is the first time I've had to speak at the luncheon, thanks to COVID, which is the only thing we can say thank you for COVID. Before I begin, or I'm just going to talk very briefly about the Morton Center, but before I begin, I want to have all of the therapists and the staff, everybody who works at the Morton Center, if you could stand and be recognized. And it's important to see that because that's what keeps us going, is the staff, our dedicated staff and our dedicated president, who I cannot speak well enough about. We could not have gotten through COVID without the dedication of our staff, of our therapists. It was a remarkable experience, and everybody worked together and took us to a really, really good place. And I'm proud to say that, well, the Morton Center was in a better position after I left than it was when I came in. It had zero to do with me. It had more to do with the people that just stood up. But the struggle is still there. And we have, just this past weekend, there was an article about how there's a new drug that's being cut and that's come into Louisville that they've had a lot of fatalities about, and it's highly addictive, more addictive than Opana, which is addictive after the first use. So we have a lot of problems still ahead of us. And so the struggle continues, and the struggle is real. And before you leave, I really want you all to consider giving support to the Morton Center, because we can't do it just on fees alone. We depend upon people like you to provide funds to keep us going. And we have some great sponsors. Katrina already mentioned that we have fantastic sponsors who have done work, but we still need more, and we have some fantastic programs that we're starting, fantastic programs that we're going to start that will help not just the addicts and the alcoholics, but also the family and children who are affected by that. And you know, we need cash. To be quite honest, we need cash. But I really wanted to thank again the staff. We have some previous therapists. If they'd stand, David, I know you're at my table. Stand up. Claude, there you go. And the reason I wanted to raise them is that just because people have left the Morton Center hasn't left them, and they've stayed dedicated to us, and I'm glad that we have partners in the community, in the recovery community, who we can call upon to do things with. I'm going to run a minute early because I'm done. While I do this for a living, sometimes getting up in front of people is not all that much fun. I'm just to introduce Priscilla Morton McIntosh, who is the president of the Morton Center.
So what Jim won't tell you is during COVID, every Friday morning at 8:30 on the dot, he got this wonderful phone call from me to say, okay, we're in person. No, we're not in person. We're back on telehealth. So what a fun trip we had the last several years. But it's so good to see everybody and to be back in person. Thank you all so much for coming. I wanted to introduce you guys to the recipient of the Stephen C. Galt Award, Kenny Reitlinger. Kenny served on the board for many years. I won't even tell you how many years, because then he would only been 30 when he joined the Morton Center board. But he was also there for me during my transition over to CEO back in 2012. He was there standing beside me and helping and supporting me. He just means a lot to us. And I can always give him a call and say, let's go for coffee. So, Kenny, thank you for that. And we'd like to say thank you by presenting you with the Stephen C. Galt Award.
See that coming. Listening to a couple of comments that the previous speaker said, it means a lot to me, and I'd like to say good afternoon and thank you all for being here. When Priscilla asked me to attend this luncheon, I asked her who else would we recognize, and she said you. And she said, who else would speak? And she said, you. She said, I was it. Now, I had assumed that others would be here before I accepted. So you've got me. So I asked her what she thought I should speak about. And she said, me. This was not working out the way I'd planned, but nothing ever does. But everyone in this room has a story to tell. Most people realize they don't have a story, but they do. We are all created in God's image, but each one of us is very different. My name is Ken Reitlinger. I'm an alcoholic and been sober for almost 38 years. Thank you. Many people have no problem drinking alcohol, but my body does not assimilate it as others do. And it's interesting that about 10% of this country are alcoholics, so there are a lot of us running around in various stages of disease. It's also non-discriminatory. There are 12 steps in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous that I adhere to. I'm not going to go through them all, but there are certain steps which I adhere to. The first one, I'm powerless over alcohol, and my life was unmanageable and probably still may be. Another, made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood him. Humbly ask him to remove any shortcomings. If I'm wrong, promptly admit it. And finally, carry these messages to other alcoholics. This is sort of a condensed version of the 12 steps. You can go online and I'm sure get them all. And there have been two events that have changed my life in a most profound way that shook me to my core. The first one was getting sober. My last drink was December the 3rd, 1984. By happenstance is my son's birthday. The second was accepting Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, which happened walking out of the church behind my father's coffin June the 26th, 2000. I will address the first event, as I believe religion is a very personal matter. As you can see, there's quite some distance between these two events. If I did not get sober and stay sober, I wouldn't be here today. And for some reason, I've never been concerned about my anonymity. In fact, that I'm a recovering alcoholic, which is odd because I'm really a very shy person. I don't advertise it, but my family, friends, most of the fellow church members know my drinking status. In early sobriety, this did cause some interesting exchanges. I'm a graduate of the University of Virginia, and there were times at social functions when someone would ask me to take a drink, could they get me a drink, when they noticed I was not drinking. I would, they understood or said to me, UVA was a party school, and I said yes, when I was at Virginia, I did party hardy. But I would decline the invitation a couple of times. But if they persisted, I would say to them in a rather abrupt tone, I'm an alcoholic. The look of shock and fear was astounding. They would move away quickly, thinking that maybe what I had was contagious. But on the other hand, because my anonymity was not a part of me, people felt they could approach me with questions about their drinking, their family members, drinking coworkers, and so on. Now, I made it clear I'm not a treatment center, counselor, doctor, minister, or any other treatment professional. My role with these inquiries was to listen and share with them my experience, strengths, and hope. As some have said, I'm approachable, not judgmental, and am willing to accept people as they are. Now, this is a two-edged sword that cuts both ways. On the one hand, I'm flattered that they trust me. But on the other hand, it gets me into some really unusual situations. By example, 2 or 3 years ago, I was driving down I-64 towards Shelbyville Road when I got a call on my cell phone. Didn't recognize the number, and normally I wouldn't pick it up. I would let it go into voicemail, assuming the person would leave a message that they really needed to talk to me. But for some reason, I answered, don't know why. And it was a woman's voice and asked me if I was a friend of Bill W.'s. If you're in the recovery community for some time, there are certain phrases and catchwords that identify you as a person in recovery. Bill W. and Dr. Bob were the two founders of Alcoholics Anonymous in 1935. Some of the other words and phrases are serenity, let go and let God, one day at a time, and there are many others. I assured the woman that I was a friend of Bill W.'s. She gave me her first name and said she had met me once and thought I was a person she could be comfortable to reach out to. She said she was drunk, sick, scared, and would I come talk to her? She said she was staying at the Holiday Inn on Shelbyville Road. I do remember meeting with her and her mother once before, and she was in a bad way then. That had been my only encounter with her, and my initial reaction to this was to say no, call 911, because I was thinking about what a messy situation this could turn into, or what are the optics of my going to a drunk woman's hotel room might look like. But something urged me to say yes. I would come to see her, and I did. I got to her room, knocked on the door. She opened up the door, looked at me, and went to the bathroom and threw up. This was my introduction. I walked into the room, sat down in a chair, and when she came out of the bathroom, I got a look at someone who had a hell of a problem. She was emaciated, crying, trembling, said she wanted to die. This is when I began to pray fast and ask for a lot of help. She calmed down, and for some reason, I asked her when was the last time she'd gone to the bathroom. She said it had been a couple of days. That told me she was very dehydrated, so I got up, brought her some water, asked her to drink it, and she did. She told me what was going on with her, and I said the first thing she needed to do was get to the hospital to be checked out. She said no, she wanted to die. Well, then I said I would be very upset if I have to go to your funeral. That caught her attention, and she fired back at me. I was not like her, and I have no idea what she's going through. I asked her to please stop talking for a few minutes and drink more water. I told her some of the things that I had done when I was in her shoes, what it had cost me, my marriage, my relationship with my son, my daughter, and others. After a few minutes, she said, "Stop, you are like me." We talked a while longer, and I realized she was not going to take my suggestions about going to the hospital. And I said I was going to leave. But then I asked if I could pray for her. To my surprise, she said yes. And as I finished, I said goodbye and pleaded with her to go to the ER. About 5 o'clock that afternoon, I got a text from her saying she was in the hospital with an IV in her arm. After some difficult years, today she is sober, has a job, got her driver's license back, and we do keep in touch. The reason I share this story is to point out that had I not gotten sober, I would not have been able to help another alcoholic. A lot of this is about surrendering to my higher power, God in my case. Sometime early in my sobriety, I came to the conclusion that me trying to control things for 40 years had been a train wreck. So why not let go and let God give me some directions? I had nothing to lose. Now, this sounds so easy. For an alcoholic to give up control over people, places, and things, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, is difficult at best for some and impossible for others. Many alcoholics don't make it. Only about 35% of alcoholics are sober after 5 years after they've gotten sober, so the rate of recidivism is very high. After about 3 years of struggling with my sobriety, both my business and marriages fell apart. I had breached the trust of my family and ended up in an efficiency apartment with a cat. Even though I'd been to inpatient treatment early on and had been sober for 3 or 4 years, I realized that I needed further help. I was referred to the Morton Center, not only for help with my sobriety, but also for counseling of my issues stemming from being the adult child of an alcoholic. Alcoholism runs in my family. For those who are not aware, there are 12 characteristics of adult children of alcoholics. Among them, they may feel fear, anxiety, anger, which can result from living with adult alcoholics. Adult children of alcoholics treatment helps them unlearn the old coping mechanisms that they may have adopted in childhood. I was a patient at the Morton Center for almost a year, and for some reason, after my treatment and a period of time, they asked me to come on the board. This organization is very dear to me, and it helped me in many ways over the years, many ways that they will never know. Again, when Priscilla asked me to share some of my story, I'm reminded of a recent gathering I attended. We were told a story about a brigadier general who was going to be the speaker, and the master of ceremonies who introduced him thanked him for his service to our country. The general came to the podium and began his talk with the comment, "You are worth it. The Morton Center is worth it. From the top down to the bottom up, it's a team of caring experts in their field of helping people with addictions. It treats the entire family, which is really unique in this field. Many families are wrecked by addiction, and I can attest to this. I don't know if you realize the number of times I've used the pronoun I. Some may find this distasteful. I will die an alcoholic, and I pray to die sober. I, along with God, to keep me sober. My sobriety has to come first, and this is paramount on my part. If I'm not sober, I'm worthless to me, family, friends, church, and society. When I was drunk, I could not function normally. I tried to make amends to those that I've hurt, but I accept the consequences of my actions drunk or sober, and have moved forward quite a lot from December the 3rd, 1984. In closing, the team at the Morton Center is made up of many players in many positions with many moving parts. They have the client's health and well-being at the center of what they do. The people at the Morton Center have a passion for their success, and I cannot say thank you enough for them for my successful so far journey in sobriety. Again, thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Kenny. We really appreciate that. So I want to introduce you to just one of our therapists. Myra, where are you? Myra has been working with the Morton Center for a little over 4 years, and today she'll share a little bit about the things that she does at the Morton Center and the great work and how amazing she is. She is one of the therapists that, if we need help, says, yes, what can I do? What do you need me to do? So we really adore her, and also just wanted everybody to give her applause and say thank you for everything. So.
Hello, everyone. I wish this could have been done before lunch because I could barely move. That was a wonderful, wonderful lunch, and it was so good. But again, my name is Myra Woodard, and I've been a therapist here at the Morton Center for, as Priscilla said, for about 4 years. And it's just an honor to be able to work with this population, serving individuals that struggle with substance use disorders and their families, or their loved ones. I just love the Morton Center. The Morton Center is like my second family. You know, it's my home away from home. I could just always pull up on somebody. Just the team that we work with, and I like just what Kenneth said. You know, from the top to the bottom, and it's just what I see, and it's just how it works. You know, from the board down to Priscilla, everything trickles from the top, and we just have such a wonderful, wonderful team. So I currently meet with clients individually. I complete assessments. I facilitate group therapy, continuing care groups on a daily basis. I have the opportunity to be able to witness these individuals walk through the door and feeling hopeless and leaving with hope. That's an awesome thing, to be able to see an individual walk through the door real fearful and leave with courage. Just to see an individual be able to walk through the door feeling real angry and unsafe. And then just to see them walk out the door and just start living a life of just to be happy, joyous, and free. So it's just an awesome thing to be able to witness God's work. So the two individuals that I'll be introducing today, they have completed our ILP program and has made significant progress. And they continue to receive services here at the Morton Center to enhance their personal skills and also their coping skills. And it was just awesome to see their growth. So I always say, and this is just what I live by, and this is just what I work by in my professional and personal life. And I'm gonna say we, because I'm speaking of everybody in this room, myself, my team, the Morton Center, and everybody sitting in this room. So if we can take the time out and change one individual, we have the opportunity to reunite and change families. So if we come together and change families, we have the opportunity to change neighborhoods, and we have the opportunity to change communities. So if we could come together and change neighborhoods and community, we can change the world. So it takes all of us to come together. So the two individuals that I'll be introducing today, they was not physically able to attend the luncheon today. But I hope you're watching because the progress that they have made in their life, the commitments that they have made to their families, the commitments that they have made to give back to the community, they could not be here today. So without any further ado, I'm allow them to share their stories. So if you could focus your attention to the screen, I'd like to introduce you, BJ and Debbie. Thank you.
Hi, I'm BJ Wysowski, and I'm a grateful alcoholic. The Morton Center saved my life. I had reached a point in my life where I just had lost the ability to say no to myself, and it manifested itself with alcohol and drugs and shopping and gambling and really anything that could be a vice. I had it as a vice. And I called my therapist one day and I said, I need some strategies on how to learn to say no to myself and create some healthy rewards. And she said, you need the Morton Center. And I didn't know what that was, but I listened to what my therapist had to say and I called the Morton Center, and I'm so glad I did. The Morton Center has provided me, I was part of the 8-week IOP program, intensive outpatient program, and I learned so much about addiction, so much about myself, so much about coping strategies, so much about meditation, so much about everything. When I first started, it was an 8-week abstinence program, and I had decided I would give it 8 weeks and reevaluate at the end of 8 weeks if I wanted to stay sober. And I'm now 11 and a half months later, completely sober and so much happier. Like, I used to think that I was happy, but I've been through the 12 steps and through the education here, the therapy, the aftercare, the support system I've built with other people going through the Morton Center, I have 100% become a better person, have healthier coping mechanisms, and I'm so happy I took the first step to call the Morton Center and actually call back. Because I left a message on a Friday and I was sobbing in the voicemail, and I ended up calling back on a Monday when they were open and talked to someone, and best decision I've ever made in my life. The Morton Center is important to our community because there's a lot of people out there that don't know where to turn. When you're in the throes of addiction, it seems like there's nowhere to go. No one knows what you're going through. No one absolutely understands how you feel in that moment. And the Morton Center is there to answer, yes, we do know what you're going through. Yes, we do understand what you're going through. We've seen it, we can help you, and we're here to support you in any way we can. I would be lost without the Morton Center. I didn't know where to go. I definitely was scared to go to rehab, but this doesn't feel like a rehab necessarily. It feels like a support center that's here to help you with anything you may need. Education, support, therapy, it does it all, and I would be lost without the Morton Center.
I am a mother and a nurse, and I was a nurse for 30 years at the local pediatric hospital. And I have MS and also migraine headaches, and I was prescribed a benzodiazepine, Klonopin, and that became used more and more off-label to combat pain. And then I started drinking on top of that. So I became wholly addicted to benzos and alcohol. And to the point where I was not making good choices, actually really bad choices with my family and my friends. And I came to a point of realization last year around July that I really needed help, a lot of help, both physically and mentally. spiritually and emotionally. And my primary care physician helped me find the Morton Center, and it has been a godsend for my life. I came here totally broken, very broken mentally, very broken physically, and found out through the classes here, through intensive outpatient services, that I was needing help on a way deeper level, emotionally, spiritually. And the Morton Center provided all of those things. You know, last year down the road, it was all about healing from my addiction and exploring why that happened. As I've moved a little bit further away from that, I have gone into, let's talk about relationships. Let's talk about how they failed in the past. Let's talk about how I can improve that with my family, with my friends, with those outside of that realm. How can I better understand my emotions, which was very difficult for me to bring emotion up. It was something that was tamped down, something that very foreign to me. And I think that was what a lot led to addiction, because I didn't want to deal with emotion. And now I'm much better capable and equipped to deal with emotion. And that side of my character and my personality, which I had never in my entire life done. I was very type A, very controlled, very structured, and now I'm able to relax a lot more. And I think a lot of that was learning about the physiology and the aspects of addiction, but also healing. And I can honestly say I would never have thought I'd be in this place a year ago, but I am.
If we could please give another round of applause to the clients. They are watching online. I know that. Thank you guys so much for sharing your story and being able to share with others how the Morton Center has been able to help. Well, I have a speech, but yeah, we don't need that. A lot of times as we were talking today, there were mentions of the Morton Center staff. And guys, will you please stand up? I could not do this without them. We could not do this without them. I was going to have you all come up on stage, but Michael said he didn't think that was a good idea. So, guys, you all are amazing. The work that you do each and every day, coming in at 9 o'clock and staying until 10 o'clock at night, doing what needs to be done, and taking care of the clients and taking care of their families. Whether it's Kristen doing our Hope group, Amber Lee doing the concerned persons. And let me tell you, if you need to know anything about the disease concept, log on to Concerned Persons Tuesday night. There's no cost at 5:30. Amber Lee will teach you everything you need to know. From Missy being in the front desk and welcome everybody with that smile that she has. And she knows every client's name, every single one of them. Morgan, who just joined us but yet came in with the fireball, and I shouldn't have said fireball, sorry. Just came in and just meshed so well with our team. Emma's my girl. She just smiles and takes care of our clients and wants to make sure that they're okay. We've got Debbie, who helps us with our insurance and being able to greet clients. Tracy just started with us. We are so glad to have Tracy with us. He's still learning how crazy we are. Last week was his first week, and we decided we were all going to go to Big Bad Breakfast and all have breakfast together. I don't think Tracy knew what he was getting himself into. Thank you, Tracy, for coming. We've got Michael, Mr. Michael, who leads our clinical team and helps and support us in so many ways. And just, he's always so positive and willing and helping and supportive. And if you've ever interacted with anyone at the Morton Center, you know Darren. This is Darren if you haven't. Darren is, do you have a question? Ask Darren. Darren is the one who will take care of it. We are so blessed. And she does not say no to insurance. She will help and support that way as well. So will you join me in giving everyone applause? Thank you guys so much. Just in 2022 alone, those individuals have helped 365 individuals start into recovery. And that's with that staff, a staff that we really need double, a staff that we're trying to find and so desperately being able to make sure that when people walk through the door, we're there to be able to help them. You'll notice in the center of your tables that there's chairs. Those are not to take home to play with Barbie dolls or anything. But the chairs represent the fact that with the Morton Center, we are able to help as soon as someone walks through the door. We are not limited by beds. We do not have a wait list. The only thing that limits us is being able to provide those scholarships when someone comes in. In today's market, it's very often that individuals will have anywhere from a $5,000 to $10,000 deductible. And you can imagine as they're coming for the first time to be able to get help to then turn around and hear that they need to also pay that financial commitment. And often it's too much. So at the Morton Center, being able to provide those scholarships and say, yes, you walked through the doors, let's get started, we're gonna see you tonight, let's get you in treatment, let's get your family wrapped up in the concerned persons, your children in the hope. We really, really, really embrace that family and being able to help and support them because you can't do it alone. Like many of us, we all have loved and cared for someone who has struggled with an addiction, myself included in that. My husband isn't here, but I'm going to go on and say it. He'll be celebrating a year, October 17th, sober. Yes. I'm very proud of him, but I know my two daughters are very, very proud of him as well. For everybody that has raised two children, especially teenage girls, please keep praying for me. I need lots and lots and lots of prayers. But you know, it takes 3 generations to break the cycle of addiction. And so I worry about my girls. I worry about them a lot. I try to do my best to make sure that I talk to them. I feel so fortunate to have this amazing staff that I can go to and ask questions. Because the world today, as we have so many young ones who are experimenting much earlier, and unfortunately is probably going to mean that they're going to be dependent on some type of substance at a very young age. So that education and being able to provide those services to them, and also letting them know that we're here, whether their loved one is ready for help or not. Like I said, I've got this speech, but it just doesn't feel right to be able to go through the speech. But I just wanted to say, you know, I know it's been since 2019 since we've been in person. The last 3 years in COVID has been something of a challenge. I'm so glad that we're in person today. But the staff, they went from March 17th to doing everything in person to literally the next day doing everything online during COVID. And if you can imagine doing 3 hours of intensive outpatient program online with over 30 plus people, that's not very much fun. But they did it, and they took what they could and helped and supported our community. I can't stress enough, as I was mentioning, about the 3 generations that it takes to break that cycle of addiction. As a mom, as a parent, as someone who works at the Morton Center, I encourage you to please reach out and ask questions. It is so important for the education for our young ones today and being able just to let them know and to talk with them openly, because that is what is going to get us to pass through the generation. The more education, the more stories we have. Kenny, thank you for sharing your story. It's those stories that's really going to help and show that recovery is possible. So today, I give you all the opportunity to help with the education and with making sure that anyone that walks through our doors is able to get the help and the treatment that they need by not having a wait list, by being able to help them as soon as they come in and getting them provided into the right kind of care. But also for those family members, because it's important for the family to also understand the disease of addiction and being able to understand that just saying stop isn't the answer, and being able to get the counseling that is needed. So today we do have a matching opportunity, dollar for dollar, for any of the gifts that come in today online or through our event here in person. We will have an opportunity to turn that $50 into $100, $100 into $200. And that will allow for us to be able to help even more individuals in the community. The need is so great. We want to be able to continue to not turn away individuals who are needing that help and providing those ongoing education. Again, if you can help, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it, being able to help and support through our scholarship programs. Thank you so much for coming today. I'm 15 minutes early, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Please take your time, mingle, talk, enjoy. Please check out the artwork that's back in the back that we have that clients have donated. There's some great pieces of artwork back there. There's also a basket in the back. There's pledge cards that you could fill out, and there's a basket in the back you could drop it in. So again, thank you guys. It's so good to see everybody in person.